Hey everybody, I'm David with Bolivar Live and welcome to another show sponsored by Aaron and Franklin Engineering. If you're looking for a home to be built here on the upper Texas coast or you're looking to add on, make sure you get hold of Aaron and Franklin for an engineering assessment and all your engineering needs. They also do home drawings and can help you design your home. But you know, as we drive down the beach, I was looking at some homes driving through one of the areas up here, and I noticed different cements under homes. A lot of people live under their home as far as, they spend time inside the home at night or early morning, but as far as everyday life, a lot of people have built out under their home. They have their garage, maybe a TV. A lot of people have grills and outdoor kitchens because we always have a breeze down here and it's always nice under the home. But one thing I was noticing is the different cements under a home. As you get closer to the beach, it changes, and some people opt to even put gravel under their home or let grass grow. And so I had a chance, I got hold of Chandra to find out what's the difference on the cement and the area under the home. And this is what she had to say. I've got a question, and we've brought Chandra in to answer it. Chandra, thanks for taking a break from your busy day. I was looking under a house, went looking at houses the other day, and I noticed one of the homes, the concrete was different. And then I went to another home and they had rock underneath it. And then I went to another home and it was older home, had regular concrete under it. My question is, how much, if I want to save money and put rock under a home or let the grass grow, what's that do to my build? And is there any difference between fibercrete and regular concrete when it comes to strength?
There's a huge difference. So one of the questions that we ask up front is, of course, where the house is located and if it's in a B zone or A zone. For the B zone houses, let's focus on those for a second. So for the B zone houses, we have to know it's in that first 200 feet of managed GLO space where it can only have fibercrete. What that tells us is whether or not what we have to do to design the piling, because if those piles have to work on their own with no structural slab that kind of locks in those piles at the ground and gives additional structural support, even if we get scour underneath that slab will still lock those piles in and support them and prevent that what we call a moment arm, or that length of pile goes from being like 12 feet to like 15 feet once you have scour, so you have no more resistance in the ground when you have
Okay.
fibercrete. So what we're trying to do is we want to make sure that we know exactly what we're designing for, because if those piling have to work alone, if they cannot work as a pile group and they're not locked in at the ground, then we have to design those piles to be individually kind of take more load. And that will increase your pile size, quantity, and depth typically. So, and
Okay.
that's not something we can fix after the fact. So we have to
Right.
know that up front in order to properly design, the slab foundation. It does improve the piling performance because the piling will, again, like I said, transfer that load into other piles and work as a pile group. So you don't have to have as many, as large, or as deep. So while you might be saving money on one end,
Mhm.
having less concrete under the house, you're going to be increasing money on the other
Appreciate.
end by having larger piles, maybe more of them, maybe deeper. So it's an offset. It's something we definitely need to know. Whether it's a requirement or a preference, we have to know those things up front. It's just one of the main design considerations that we have, because the piling are such a critical part of the building structure when you're talking about not only wind but water as well.
What about the difference in building a house beachfront? You have to use the fibercrete, if I'm not mistaken,
Correct.
versus 3 or 4 rows back where
Yeah.
you can use wire mesh and you can use rebar and stuff. How
Yes.
much difference in the strength of that concrete is there between regular concrete with iron, in it versus fibercrete?
It's zero. There's no structural capacity. The only thing that fibercrete is good for is for just parking and paving,
Okay.
walking around on it, because it is divided up into 4x4 squares. And the
Right.
reason that is because the geolo dictates that we have to be able to, with a forklift, pick up
Right.
that broken piece of concrete and move it if that house is severely damaged. They don't want to be busting up concrete slabs beachfront. Is the
Right.
bottom line. So we end up having to design those with the 4x4 pavers. They have zero structural. We act like they're not even there,
Okay.
basically.
I'm going to throw something on you because we didn't talk about this.
Okay.
I've seen some fiberglass rebar being used around a little bit, and the guys like it because it's easier to cut one when they have to cut it. What about strength on that? My thought was we have sand down here and stuff moves. It would it might let seams go uneven easier than concrete. What's the difference between half-inch rebar and half-inch fiberglass rebar style?
Well, it's not necessarily. They're both pretty strong,
Are they?
depending on the application. Okay.
Okay.
So when we specify the gator bar or the other fiberglass rebar, we can typically put that in like a slab or in like an elevated wall, but we can't use it around header openings. We can't use it for grade beams. So anything that's taking a heavy load has to have regular rebar.
Okay.
But yeah, we can use it in some other applications. There are some limitations. People want to just do it a 1-to-1 substitution, and it doesn't quite work that way.
Okay.
We can do it for some applications, but not all applications.
I saw it used in driveways and in
and
big
that would
parking
be a
lots.
perfect way to use it, because you can use it in a driveway and reinforce it. It's non-corrosive. It's not going to rust out or expand or anything.
Right.
So it's going to have great longevity, and it has good strength for that purpose.
Great. Well, thanks for breaking this down and letting us know. I would have thought fibercrete would have had a little bit of strength in it, but from what you're saying, it's just for cosmetic, more or less than anything. So, and I know I've heard people talk about the fiberglass that's in it comes up and it can irritate some people's feet. I don't know that for sure, but that's just something I heard. So thanks for joining us today and getting this out, letting people know. That's something to think about if you're going to build a house beachfront versus 2 or 3 rows back, what kind of cement you can have under your house. So Chandra, I'll let you get back to work, and we're going to go back under this house and look and see how the pilings may be tied in. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. It's something to think about if you're building a home down here, or even if you're building an RV port, is thinking about how you're going to tie your structure together. I never really thought about that, but I can remember back after Ike, some homes did have scouring under their slab. In fact, there was one home, I think it was in Ramada or somewhere, or Emerald, that actually leaned a little bit because the waves had washed out under the slab, and when they actually came back and moved the house over a little bit, pulled it back up straight. But if it wouldn't have had concrete underneath it, it probably would have been a lot worse. I didn't even think about that, but that's a substructure that holds everything together at ground level. So it's something to think about when and how you're going to tie it together, and where you're building your home, how you're going to be able to. So anyway, we're going to head on out. I want to thank Aaron and Franklin for everything they do and for being a big part of Team Bolivar. Until next time, I'm David with Bolivar Live. Y'all have a great day, great week. Come see us. God bless, and bye-bye. Video equipment is sponsored by Crystal Beach Decor and More, located at 1959 Highway 87 in Crystal Beach, Texas, and Beachy Beatnik Boutique and Jewelry, located at 970 Surfside and Highway 87 in Crystal Beach, Texas. Thank you to these two businesses for being our 2025 video equipment sponsor for Bolivar Live.